Hi, parents. Dr. Matt here. Is your child struggling with just experiences, going to school, playing with friends, even getting dressed? Do they seem overwhelmed by loud noises, bright lights, certain textures? We see a lot of kids that actually struggle with this quite a bit. And if this sounds familiar, your child might be struggling with sensory processing disorder or SPD. Now, SPD actually affects a staggering number of children, with almost 80% of those children born by C section. That's why we talk about it a lot from a pediatric chiropractic perspective. Now, this often misunderstood condition can make daily life a constant struggle for children and their families because they just can't experience the world around them. But what if there was a way to address the root cause of SPD and really unlock the full potential so you can have those awesome experiences as a family and not let your surroundings hold you back? Now, the statistics surrounding sensory processing disorder, they're pretty crazy. In fact, SPD can affect almost 80% of children, like I said, having a specific birth, specifically C-section, or one that is very manually assisted or difficult. Now, this is a surprisingly common condition because of that. And while SPD shares some similarities with other conditions like ASD, autism spectrum, and also, a lot of things into ADHD and a lot of those other diagnoses, there's a lot of unique challenges that come from it, specifically in learning, academics, sitting still, emotional regulation, all of these things. So, to really understand this today, I want to unpack the nervous system approach of it because it's a critical role in sensory processing. Now, typically in developing children, the nervous system seamlessly receives, interprets, and responds to sensory input from the outside world, right? All the noises, all the stimuli, all the experiences, all those things come into the brain from the environment. However, when the nervous system isn't functioning optimally, as in the case with SPD, sensory processing system can become really disruptive. So this really leads to the challenges in uptake by the brain. The brain feels overwhelmed from what the body is sending it. Now, subluxation and dysautonomia are two primary culprits behind neurological dysfunction SPD. And I'm going to explain those. Don't worry, I know really bigger, crazy words. Now, subluxation refers to the misalignments in the upper neck throughout what we call the neurospinal system. Now, that's what interferes with that communication from the brain into the body. That's why we talk about the response of the sensory system to the environment, and also where there's a tie-in in the birth process. Because when we have a difficult birth, specifically C-section, there can be a lot of physical trauma to important areas of that neurospinal system, especially right up top here. Now, dysautonomia, the second word I threw out there, is an imbalance in what we call the autonomic nervous system. Think of the autonomics as your automatics. It consists of the sympathetic fight or flight response, or the parasympathetic rest or digest response, right? Which we want good balance between the two, right? We don't want our kids, fighting, running away, going crazy, not sitting still, but we also don't want them unmotivated, tired, and resting all the time too. There's gotta be good balance with that. So that's where when we look at children that struggle with SPD, there's often an imbalance here. And that imbalance is where the sympathetic nervous system, that fight flight response, is often stuck in overdrive. Now that leads them to heightened sensitivity. It doesn't allow the parasympathetic system to come out and help them relax and rest. So they're over responsive to their environment. So the sounds that are coming out from the environment to them are just an overload to the brain. The sensations from t-shirts and clothes and jeans and shoes and things like that are too much. They're sending extra signals to their brain. So it's hard for their sensory processing system, that internal brake pedal, that parasympathetic system, to truly relax. Now, another key player in sensory processing is a nerve called the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve, we've talked about this a ton before because it's the longest cranial nerve in the body. In case you haven't noticed, as chiropractors, we are very, very concerned with the nervous system because that's the communication highway between the brain and various organs. Now, the vagus nerve is key to that gut-brain connection, but also connection to the lungs, to the heart, to lymph flow. And what it really helps promote is calm and relaxation when those other processes are going along better. This is why so often kids that struggle with sensory oftentimes have tummy aches. Oftentimes there's that, we call it like a visceral response where they don't feel good when they get in those sensory situations because their vagus nerve is affected. Now, at PwC Chiropractic, we just understand the complexity of this. Every kiddo is a little different when it comes to sensory processing disorder and the impact on it. So that's why we take a unique approach to it, and we focus on neurologically focused chiropractic care. Now that helps address those underlying imbalances in the nervous system, right? Getting that sympathetic system under control, getting that parasympathetic system to help balance, to help them not struggle so much with that sensory input. Now, all the docs on our team, we are really trained in that specific neurology. And we also use this awesome technology called Insight scans. Now, these help us pinpoint the areas of those subluxations and dysautonomia that we see. This is why we're able to look and say, really correlate it between, okay, was this a difficult birth? And here's what they struggle with. But then to see it within their nervous system with those tests really allow us to find it and then help your child. Now, we love helping kids, and we would say the results speak for themselves. We love sharing our testimonials, so check those out on our page. And we love helping kids get out of their sensory struggles, whether it be emotional regulation, whether it be them not being able to go to a concert or to school or hear loud noises, and it also affects those awesome softer signs such as regulation, sleep, digestion, immune function, focus, all of those things. So if your child's struggling with just any type of sensory struggle, know that you're not alone. There's a lot more kids that struggle with different various phases of this that also bleed over to other things, right? Like I mentioned, with sleep and gut health and stomach pains and ADHD, all those things. So if you need help with this, visit the link in our bio, take the first steps. We would love to help you and your child. What we do is we love to do a consult. We love to look at the scans, and then we love to give you a plan of action to help them the most we can to overcome their sensory processing struggles. So I hope this finds you well. If you have questions, drop us a direct message. We would love to chat and answer them. But be well, God bless. We'd love to help.